Welcome back to Usain Serrano Special Vehicles. So after episode 63 and 20 was Destroyed Circus Volume 1 to Volume 6. So this is episode 65. I'm gonna post the Destroyed Circus episode 51. It was a tin mine collapsing, helicopter crash, motorcycle collision, and a Dutch rally crash. Make sure to like and subscribe to Usain Serrano Special Vehicles. So the other video I had to post was 66. It was the vintage dragster slammed to the wall, and the crane nearly misses rescuers after it's being crushed because my truck is too heavy. So grab some water and join in the show. Make sure to grab some water and stay energized. This showtime.
Without so much as a warning, life hangs in the balance. Human endeavor turns to chaos. And within seconds, nothing will ever be the same. Ever. I'm Ron Pitts. From failures of engineering to nature's wrath, man and destruction constantly collide. A Spanish air show audience is stunned as a German-built helicopter crashes and disintegrates right before their eyes. And a section of burning warehouse collapses on a firefighter, burying him under a wall of flaming debris. Safety and sanity take a holiday when things get destroyed in seconds. July 2007. Flames light up the night 75 miles outside Buenos Aires, Argentina. A gas station is fully engulfed in flames, putting firefighters and residents on high alert. The station contains dozens of tanks filled with highly flammable liquid propane. When the fire hits 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, the tanks give way. The normally gaseous propane in a pressurized liquid form. But once heated, the propane expands to more than 200 times its liquid volume. Despite being outfitted with release valves, the steel tanks can't contain the expanding compound. Tremors from the blast are felt more than a mile away. Debris is blown throughout the neighborhood. Firefighters work their way inside the warehouse, where a truck is in flames under the collapsed roof. Eventually, the fire subsides. Firefighters and Good Samaritans quickly remove the remaining propane tanks before they become more fuel for the fire. 4 hours after firefighters arrive, the site is reduced to ruins. The initial fire that led to the explosions is blamed on an electrical short. Despite the massive inferno, only one person is injured. Florence, Montana. highway patrolman is in pursuit of a man suspected of murder. He's also wanted for the shooting of 7 others, including a deputy. Speeds reach over 100 miles per hour as the chase nears the Idaho state line. Unable to lose his pursuer, the suspect tries a new tactic. The impact rams the suspect's car up onto the officer's hood and nearly through his windshield. Spinning 180 degrees, the suspect exits his car. He takes up position behind the trunk and opens fire. The gun battle rages as another officer races to the scene. The first officer dives for cover to reload as the second officer returns fire with a 12-gauge shotgun. Smoke spewing from the lead officer's bullet-riddled car gives the wanted murderer the cover to escape. He flees at high speed towards the Idaho border, with the 2 lawmen taking chase in the undamaged cruiser. Near the Idaho state line, Montana troopers lay down spike strips in hopes of disabling the suspect's car. Speeding around a bend with the officers in pursuit, he drives over the spike strip and blows out his tires. Skidding to a stop, the suspect fires at the oncoming patrol car. In a last-ditch attempt to quell the battle, the officer uses his cruiser as a weapon. The impact causes the gunman's pistol to go flying. Troopers move in and take down the disarmed suspect, now trapped in his car. One of the officers lies on the ground with a broken leg suffered in the crash. He returns to duty several weeks later. The suspect is charged with murder and 9 additional felonies. He's sentenced to 11 consecutive life terms. The man who calls himself the world's greatest motorcycle daredevil is about to add to his legacy. Robbie Knievel has come to New Jersey's Atco Raceway to attempt a 180-foot jump. He needs to travel 75 miles an hour in order to clear the gaps. It's a feat Robbie manages to pull off here at Atco once, but not twice. Daredevil Robbie Knievel is about to jump at Atco Raceway in New Jersey. Robbie has been riding motorcycles since the age of 7, and tonight is the culmination of his over 2 decades of jumping experience. Robbie plans to launch himself and his 240-pound bike over a 180-foot gap. Hitting the ramp at the correct speed is critical if Robbie's going to successfully clear the distance. Robbie prides himself in not using a speedometer, relying instead on his ample experience to gauge how fast he should go. The previous night, Robbie executed a flawless jump. But 24 hours later, it's a different story. Robbie's going 10 miles an hour too fast, causing him to overshoot the landing ramp. He somersaults, then takes a hard hit on the asphalt. Robbie separates his collarbone, breaks his ankle and suffers numerous bruises. But the veteran of more than 250 jumps is undaunted. A year later, Robbie tries the stunt again and pulls it off perfectly. Emmeloord, the Netherlands. It's the opening round of the 1998 Dutch National Rally Championship. Two-person teams race through the countryside northeast of Amsterdam on a course of tight turns and muddy roads. Which proves to be a dangerous combination for the father and daughter team in car number 1. Jan van der Merel and his daughter spin out at 130 miles per hour. The car nosedives into a water-filled trench, somersaults, then plunges back into the ditch. Fortunately, Jan and his daughter suffer no injuries. As for their modified rally car, it's a total loss. San Francisco, California. A 3-alarm warehouse fire rages out of control in the southeast part of the city. Local residents capture the event on tape.
Do not want to go out.
Firefighters battle the blaze from all angles. Some from positions high above the warehouse. Others take on the flames up close. Perhaps even too close. A 3-alarm fire erupts at a warehouse in the southeast section of San Francisco, California. More than 25 firefighters battle the flames, which reach 30 feet into the air. About 45 minutes into the blaze, firefighters continue their attack from above and below when the structure begins to crumble. A vertical extension of the roof wall called the parapet buckles under the intense heat and collapses. A firefighter close to the building is caught unaware and is knocked down by the flaming debris. Firefighters and paramedics race to the trapped man's aid. After digging the fireman out, they quickly stabilize him, put him on a gurney, and rush him to the hospital. By daybreak, the fire that ends up causing $600,000 worth of damage is finally under control. The injured firefighter survives with only a broken leg and second-degree burns on his arms, thanks to the quick action of the emergency crews. Reno, Nevada, 1984. Top fuel drag boats race across Lake Lahontan. They cross the finish line, but one driver doesn't slow down. In fact, he speeds up and heads directly for shore. If the boat doesn't stop, an impact is imminent. In the middle of the race, the driver realizes he has a stuck throttle. There's no way for him to stop the boat. The drag boat slams into the beach at 160 miles an hour, then into a sand dune. The boat disintegrates on impact. An instant before he hits land, the driver bails out and slams into the water. Rescuers rush to the scene. They pull the driver from the lake and rush him to shore. He sustains major injuries to his leg. As for the boat, the pieces are gathered up and hauled off to a salvage yard. If the driver hadn't jumped out when he did, it's doubtful he would have survived this crash. Thousands of spectators gather on Samil Beach in Vigo, Spain, to watch the 6th annual Vigo Air Show. Among the performing aircraft is a German-designed MBB BO-105 helicopter. The pilots operating the 4-bladed multi-purpose chopper show off its maneuverability to the sun-bathing crowd below. But during one of the maneuvers, the pilot makes a catastrophic error. The pilot and co-pilot purposely angle the nose down at 90 degrees to wow the crowd. As they attempt to level off, the 2,800-pound aircraft flies too low. The pilot's last-ditch effort to pull up fails when the landing skids dip under the water. The impact breaks the helicopter into hundreds of pieces. The crowd jumps to their feet. Rescue efforts instantly ensue, but the helicopter sinks in seconds. The two pilots are pulled from the water into a raft and taken to shore. The crowd applauds as one of the pilots reunites with his wife. Aside from a deep cut to one of the pilot's legs, neither man sustains serious injuries. Pilot error is to blame for the crash. The roughly $1.1 million aircraft is declared a total loss. Red Deer, Canada. Locals call it Freedom Road. This long stretch of highway has become a hotspot for bikers to ignore speed limits. And throw caution to the wind. But hot-dogging at high speeds on an open road is a risky endeavor, where the slightest miscalculation can trigger severe consequences. Red Deer, Canada, September 2006. Freedom Road is a hotspot for speed-loving daredevils. Motorcycle riders bring an audience to document their wild rides. Two friends tear down the highway under Ninja 636s. These bikes can go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds and have a top speed of approximately 160 miles per hour. But stopping them takes a little longer. Traveling at 84 miles per hour, the black motorcycle rips past the cameraman. Close behind, the red bike tops out at 103 miles per hour. At such high speeds, the rider doesn't notice the black motorcycle has slowed down. bike does an endo and sends its rider tumbling. The motorcycle nearly hits the downed rider. The rider of the rear-ended black motorcycle is almost knocked off his bike. He regains his balance and maintains control.
Oh my God.
Despite the severity of the crash, the rider of the red motorcycle suffers only a broken collarbone.
I've never seen a bike fly apart like that before, man. Look at that rim.
Both riders report their motorcycles as totaled. The combined cost of the bikes is over $10,000. Dating back to the 1800s, tin mining is one of the oldest businesses in Malaysia. At one time, the region produced 1/3 of the world's tin supply. But with mines exhausted and a steep drop in the price of tin, production has dropped 90%. Mining companies now dig for the scarce metal wherever they can and at whatever the risk. In the state of Perak, workers have dug too close to the seawall of an abandoned pit mine bordering the Indian Ocean. As water pressure grows more intense on the coastal side of the quarry, the ground trembles, rocks slide, and the ocean begins to pour into the pit. Massive sections of land disintegrate in a river of mud and rock. Less than a minute later, another chunk of seawall gives way, leaving very little to hold back the water. What remains of the tin mine slowly crumbles, but there's more destruction to come. The Indian Ocean can't be contained. The last remaining section of the mine collapses and the ocean roars through the gap. Within minutes, the quarry is gone. An aerial photograph shows a new cove nearly a half-mile wide has formed in the aftermath. Several hours before the collapse, the owner of the mining company discovers the leak. He orders the equipment moved and evacuates his workers. It's a decision that ends up saving dozens of lives. I'm Ron Pitts, and thank you for watching Destroyed in Seconds.
Here's the second video of Destroying Circus. Was the vintage dragster slamming the wall, freestyle stung and sinking boat.
So much as a warning, life hangs in the balance. Human endeavor turns to chaos. And within seconds, nothing will ever be the same. Ever. I'm Ron Pitts. Get ready for some of the most hair-raising destruction ever captured on camera. A freestyle motorcycle rider attempts a risky mid-air stunt and nearly pays with his life. A speedboat crash sends a racer slamming into an island at 200 miles per hour. You may want to wear a helmet because things are about to get destroyed in seconds. Its owners call it a nitro-gulping, ground-pounding beast. To drag aficionados, it's the Winged Express, a classic T-bucket race car whose legacy dates back to the 1960s. Although some have offered $250,000 for the dragster, many consider it priceless. Today, this one-of-a-kind race car is thrilling crowds in Bakersfield, California. Racer Mike Boyd is behind the wheel, ready to unleash the Express's 2,000 horses. Mike ripped down the track at nearly 170 miles per hour. The dragster's immense horsepower causes the front end to lift off the ground. On landing, the front left tire as well as the tire rod snap off and fly across the track. Mike slams into the concrete wall in a burst of fire. The Express overturns with Mike still inside. An ambulance rushes to the scene. Mike is able to extricate himself and escapes uninjured.
He's getting out. He's down now. All right, buddy.
Mike believes the wheel failure was caused by the typical stresses a dragster undergoes when racing. After this crash, it takes the owners 2 years to completely rebuild the car. The America's Cup. For over 150 years, the fastest yachts from around the world have competed for the chance to take home sailing's most prestigious trophy. But before a crew can challenge the defending champions for the title, 7 boats from around the world must battle it out in a series of qualifying rounds. In May 1995, off the coast of San Diego, California, these qualifying heats turned out to be one of the most dangerous and costly in the Cup's history. In an effort to be the fastest boat on the water, the captains pushed their crews and their state-of-the-art vessels to the limit. The yacht, French 3, loses a mast and has to bow out of the race. Another of France's entries loses a keel, and the crew scrambles for safety as the boat capsizes. But it's the Australian team with their entry, One Australia, who will suffer the biggest loss. Conditions are rough, with high winds and choppy seas. The Australian team is in second place. Halfway into the 18.5-mile race, a crack appears in the center of their carbon fiber hull. Today's racing of One Australia will be halted, and the crew moves quickly to lower the sails. The crack widens, and the yacht begins to slip beneath the waves. Yachting crews don't wear life vests. The boat is sinking so fast, the men have no time to put them on. The entire crew quickly abandons ship as the 75-foot-long hull breaks in half. Follow boats pluck the captain and all 16 crewmen from the water as the yacht buckles in on itself. In less than 2 minutes, the $3 million vessel sinks in 500 feet of water. The reason? The rough seas simply snapped the lightweight carbon fiber hull in half. 2 days later, they returned to the competition aboard Australia's backup boat. This is the first time in the 144-year history of the America's Cup that a boat sinks during the race. It's the Free Ride Moto X Championship game in Colorado Springs. These extreme sport bikers try to wow the crowds and impress the judges with their high-flying tricks. Hitting the round next is Frenchman Manu. Already a champion in France, He's hoping to make a name for himself in America by attempting a difficult stunt called the Superman seat grab. But Manu plans to add a higher degree of difficulty by holding on to the bars longer. A move that he quickly realizes is a mistake. Dozens of extreme riders hit the ramps at the Free Ride Moto X Championships in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Next is Frenchman Manu Troux, attempting a difficult maneuver known as the Superman seat grab. A trick where he lets go of the handlebars, grabs the seat, and flies behind his bike. He nails it and continues on the technically difficult course. Once again, he goes for the Superman, but ups the degree of difficulty by holding on to the bars longer. Manu hits the ramp at 30 miles per hour. As he attempts the 75-foot gap jump, he holds onto the bars just a second too long. At 40 feet above the ground, he releases his grip, but can't grab onto the seat. He quickly reaches back for the bars, but it's too late. The 250-pound dirt bike sails through the air with Manu right behind him. Manu flies 85 feet before crashing onto the dirt mound and tumbling down. The crowd is stunned, and help soon arrives.
Looks like they're tending to his leg.
Manu breaks a femur in the crash landing. He makes a full recovery and continues to ride before retiring in 2007. They have no brakes and only one gear. These are track bicycles, and they're specially designed to reduce aerodynamic drag. Track bikes can reach 40 miles per hour as they race around a bank track called a velodrome.
8 laps to do in the 2xU Future Stars double kilo dash.
The Future Star Series showcases Australia's best young track cyclists, and they're all under 18 years old.
I think the good thing about watching is that they all give it 100%.
This is the final lap of the 2,000-meter event, and if any one of these cyclists wants to overtake the pack, the time is now.
He's just about hit the sand trap at 1 lap to go as Parker of South Australia has stolen the march. The big move coming from around the outside. There's been a fall. Oh!
As they crowd together at the bottom of the banked track, two of the cyclists collide. This sets in motion a chain reaction, and there's nowhere to go but down.
Making the way across the line and taking out the win.
All but 4 cyclists hit the hard pine floor. One of the riders, Jamie Crass, is in particular danger. His body traveling at 30 miles per hour, he cartwheels through the air and then skids along the guardrail. Just beyond that rail is a concrete stairwell, 20 feet deep. Somehow, Crass manages to stay on the right side of the rail, and when he finally lands, it's on the track.
Just making sure that all of our riders down on trackside are okay. First aid is in attendance.
All 13 riders walk away with bruises, some with scrapes and burns. The media manager of this event says that the relative inexperience of the young cyclists may be the main cause of today's near calamity.
Big move coming from around the outside. There's been a fall. Oh!
Chandler, Arizona. It's It's the International Hot Boat Association's World Final at the Firebird International Raceway. To keep racers safe inside these powerful, fast top fuel hydros, each cockpit is a self-contained safety pod. These watertight capsules are meant to break away from the boat in the event of a crash. Today, 27-year-old Scott Lumbert is about to race in the hydro he's named Public Nuisance. Scott's about to find out just how much protection his safety pod can offer. It's the International Hot Boat Association's World Finals in Chandler, Arizona. Spectators gather at the Firebird International Raceway to watch top fuel hydros race at speeds reaching 250 miles per hour. In this round, hydro champion Scott Lumbert will race down the quarter-mile course. Scott takes it up to 220 miles per hour and crosses the finish line in 5.1 seconds. The bolts holding the blast plate underneath the boat's hull loosen, creating drag. The hydro veers left and flips on its side. The momentum launches Scott's pod 70 feet above the water. The capsule flies 300 feet before crashing at 200 miles per hour onto the narrow island in the middle of the lake. It flips and bounces more than 8 times across the island before landing back in the water. Rescue crews rush in. A boat outfitted with a winch lifts the pod out of the water and rushes Scott to shore. The impact of the crash breaks off the steering wheel and lodges it into Scott's right leg. Scott suffers a severe concussion, fractures his back and neck, and breaks a vertebrae. 8 months after the accident, Scott is back on the water. Due to the severity of Scott's crash, the IHBA now requires all drivers to wear full-face helmets and to secure their blast plates with stronger bolts.
Oh my gosh!
Cedar Park, Texas.
Okay, we're getting inside.
Are you in your closet?
Paul Wallachek and his family are directly in the path of a forming tornado.
See, look at how it snakes down.
And this funnel cloud is getting closer by the second.
How are we not, Paul? We're scared.
I know, I'll be right in.
The family runs for cover.
Here it comes. Get in the house.
While the Wallacheks await their fate, the twister hits across town. Floyd Zahn and his son are in their home when the storm strikes.
My God.
This is an F3 tornado, meaning its winds average between 158 and 206 miles an hour.
Well, there goes all the trees.
Floyd and his son learned firsthand that it's capable of tearing apart houses.
Is this the same place right here? Dang. What's everything on the house breaking, Dad? Dude, come here. Get it up.
By now, the tornado is bearing down on the Wallacheks.
Coming right at us.
Paul orders his family to take cover as he keeps rolling.
Just stay in there.
Debris flies everywhere. A 30-foot tree whips violently in the wind. The Walashak's home is pummeled by the vicious windstorm. The winds finally subside, but they've left their mark. 11 homes and 3 businesses are destroyed, but Paul and his family escape without injury.
Man, look at that damn thing. I just sliced through there, you know?
As for Floyd and his son, they survive as well, although they find a flipped-over RV outside their door.
Man, it is terrible. You said that thing's 18,000 pounds. Still flipped it over like a match.
The tornado tears a path 9 miles long and 750 feet wide, but everyone in Cedar Park survives. Get in the house! Welcome to the Tomato Nationals at Florida's Immokalee Regional Raceway near Fort Myers, where modified street cars rip it up at speeds topping 150 miles per hour. Today, racer Kevin Conti takes to the track in his Camaro dragster for what will be the first race of his professional career. It took Kevin several years and $55,000 to build his car from scratch. But it will take less than 10 seconds for it to be destroyed. The Tomato Nationals are mecca for speed junkies in Southwest Florida. Some of the drivers buy their dream machine. Some cars are home built. But practically all of them can hit 150 miles an hour by the end of the 1/8 mile run. Kevin Conti is in the Camaro on the right. He spent years building his car from scratch. Kevin's off to a good start, but at close to 140 miles an hour, the Camaro climbs the concrete guardrail. What used to be a $55,000 dragster is reduced to a pile of twisted metal. It takes safety workers and medics several minutes to extract Kevin from the wreckage. He suffers a broken arm, a fractured leg, several broken ribs, and a broken T2 vertebrae. He's looking at months of recovery. Kevin hasn't been able to figure out what went wrong to cause this crash. One thing he does know is that he will race again. Aichi, Japan, 1987. Nearly 200 people are injured when a passenger train collides with a semi-truck. One of the country's worst train disasters occurs when the truck stalls on the tracks. The collision crushed the train's front section and drove the truck off a bridge. But the day's drama is far from over. To lift the truck out of the ravine beneath the tracks. The plan calls for one crane to lift the truck's flatbed, while at the same time, the other crane hoists up the cab. The weight of the flatbed proves to be far more than one of the cranes can handle. As workers scramble to safety, you can see one man drop to his knees and miss being crushed by inches. Later that night, both the train and the truck are safely removed from the scene. Everyone in the collapse escapes injury. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on Destroyed in Seconds.
Get in the house.
That was intense. That was my truck. Now, let's do Space on Time by 009 Sound System.
Reaching back across the line, you and
that's it for this video. So like, subscribe to go sales around special vehicles before I end this video. So today is Labor Day. Thanks for watching. Good night. We'll see you next time.